Have you ever felt that quiet moment where something almost happened but didn't? The look that lasted a second too long. The silence that felt louder than words. Deep down, you knew she wanted you to step closer, but fear, doubt, or overthinking held you back. And now you wonder what if. This isn't about chasing. This is about recognizing the signs most men miss. The ones she'll never say out loud, but feels deeply. Because sometimes the biggest regret isn't rejection, it's hesitation. If you've ever asked yourself, was she waiting for me to make a move? Then this video is for you. Stay with me till the end, because one of these signs might explain a moment from your past and change how you act next time forever. Comment your location and tell us where you're watching from. Subscribe to the channel for more real, eye-opening relationship insights. When a woman wants you to make a move but won't say it, the first thing she does is something very subtle, yet very intentional. She creates opportunities, not obvious invitations, not direct signals, but moments. Moments where something could happen if you're paying attention. She stays a little longer after everyone else leaves. She positions herself closer than necessary. She finds reasons to cross your path again and again. Psychologically, this matters because attraction doesn't push, it opens doors. If she wasn't interested, her instinct would be to close space, shorten interactions, and avoid ambiguity. Instead, she does the opposite while still protecting herself from vulnerability. You have to understand this from her perspective. For many women, expressing desire directly carries social and emotional risk. Rejection feels personal. So rather than verbalizing interest, she engineers situations where your response becomes the answer. This is not manipulation. It's a form of emotional intelligence. She's observing how you read the room, how you handle uncertainty, and whether you can take initiative without being told what to do. In a very real sense, she's asking a question without using words. Do you feel what I feel? Notice how these opportunities often come wrapped in stillness, silence that lingers, eye contact that doesn't break, conversations that slow down instead of ending cleanly. These are psychological pauses, spaces designed for action. If you rush past them, change the subject, or step away too quickly, the moment collapses. Not because she didn't want more, but because you signaled discomfort with leading. Attraction thrives on decisiveness, not perfection. Another overlooked detail is repetition. One opportunity might be coincidence. Multiple opportunities are a pattern. She doesn't accidentally keep giving you access to her time, her attention, or her emotional presence. Humans are efficient. We avoid what doesn't matter. So if she keeps placing herself where you can act, she's already done her part. At that point, hesitation isn't caution, it's avoidance. What many men misinterpret is the lack of explicit permission. They wait for certainty, not realizing that certainty is created through action. Confidence isn't knowing the outcome. It's being willing to move without guarantees. And when you don't move, something quiet but important happens. She recalibrates, not angrily, not dramatically. She simply starts seeing you as someone who observes life instead of participating in it. The deeper lesson here isn't just about attraction. It's about how people test for leadership in everyday interactions. Opportunity is rarely announced. It's offered softly, then withdrawn if ignored. Whether in relationships, careers, or life itself, moments come once or twice before they disappear. So the next time space opens, time slows, and the moment seems to wait on you. Ask yourself this: are you waiting for permission, or are you ready to step forward? Because hesitation doesn't protect you from loss. It often creates it. When a woman wants you to make a move, her inner world begins to surface in subtle but consistent ways. Her behavior becomes more expressive around you, not louder in volume, but richer in signal. This is where psychology quietly replaces words. You may notice her voice soften, her cadence slow, or her laughter arrive more easily. These aren't rehearsed tactics. They're physiological responses. When someone feels emotionally safe and stimulated, the body relaxes and opens. Expression increases because restraint decreases. She's no longer conserving energy around you. She's investing it. Pay attention to how her body orients itself. Open posture, relaxed shoulders, feet angled toward you. These are unconscious tells. The body reveals interest long before the mind allows it to be spoken. Even her facial expressions change. There's more animation, more responsiveness, more emotional range. She reacts not just to what you say, but to how you say it. This heightened engagement is her way of saying, I'm here with you, without exposing herself to rejection. Another important shift happens in conversation. She may tease you, challenge you lightly, or playfully disagree. This isn't conflict, it's engagement. Psychologically, people only invest energy in interaction when they care about the outcome. Indifference is quiet and flat. Interest has texture. These small emotional spikes create tension, and tension is the precondition for attraction. She's not trying to confuse you. She's creating emotional movement and waiting to see if you can move with it. You'll also notice that she becomes more present. She remembers details you mentioned earlier. She references shared moments. She listens not to respond, but to connect. This level of attentiveness is not casual. Attention is one of the most valuable currencies we have, and she's spending it deliberately. When her expressiveness increases, what she's really saying is, you matter enough for me to show more of myself. What many men miss is that this expressiveness is a risk. The more she reveals emotionally, the more vulnerable she becomes. So when she opens up, laughs more freely, or lets her guard down around you, she's already stepped closer. At that point, she's not waiting for you to impress her, she's waiting for you to meet her, to match her energy, to take responsibility for the momentum she's helping create. If you respond with neutrality, excessive logic, or emotional distance, the dynamic stalls, not because she loses interest immediately, but because she starts to feel exposed without support. Over time, she learns to pull that expressiveness back, and once that happens, rebuilding momentum becomes much harder. This isn't about reading signs obsessively. It's about presence. When someone becomes more expressive around you, they're inviting you into a shared emotional space. Leadership in attraction isn't about dominance. It's about recognition, seeing what's being offered and responding with intention. So the real question isn't whether she's expressive. It's whether you're receptive. Because when someone opens emotionally and you don't step forward, the message they receive is simple. I showed you who I am, and you stayed still. And few things cool attraction faster than that. When a woman wants you to make a move but doesn't say it outright, the dynamic often shifts into something that feels slightly unstable. This is where many men get confused. Her behavior may become inconsistent. She might pull back just after a moment of closeness, mention other men casually, or give signals that seem mixed. But psychologically, this isn't rejection. It's a test of emotional steadiness. Attraction isn't built on certainty. It's built on how someone handles uncertainty. What she's observing in these moments is not whether you're perfect, but whether you remain grounded when the ground shifts. These tests aren't calculated games. They're instinctive. When interest rises, so does vulnerability. And with vulnerability comes the need for reassurance. Not through words, but through behavior. She's watching to see if you become reactive, defensive, or approval-seeking, or if you remain calm, self-directed, and present. Confidence isn't loud. It doesn't chase clarity. It stays centered even when the signals aren't. This is why she might momentarily create distance. Distance creates contrast. It reveals whether your interest collapses without constant reinforcement. If you panic, over-explain, or withdraw emotionally, the answer becomes clear to her. But if you maintain warmth without neediness and direction without pressure, something important happens. You demonstrate emotional leadership. You show that your sense of self isn't dependent on her immediate response. Another common test is ambiguity. She may say things that could be interpreted in more than one way, then watch how you respond. Do you assume rejection and pull away? Or do you stay engaged and assert your intent with calm clarity? People who can tolerate ambiguity are often perceived as more attractive because they signal internal stability. They don't need constant reassurance to move forward. What many men misunderstand is that these moments are not about proving worth. They're about revealing character. She's not asking, "Does he like me enough?" She's asking, can he handle emotional pressure without losing himself? This is a deeply philosophical question because it mirrors life itself. Uncertainty is the rule, not the exception. And how you act here is often how you act everywhere. If you hesitate too long, not out of discernment, but out of fear, interest begins to fade. Not because she didn't want you to act, but because leadership delayed becomes leadership denied. Momentum requires motion. Attraction requires risk. And while no one owes you certainty, life often rewards those who move with intention despite the unknown. The truth is, when she tests you, she's offering you a doorway. Walk through it calmly or stand there waiting for it to label itself. But remember this, confidence isn't the absence of doubt. It's the decision to act while doubt is still present.